The latest Algeria squad is out, and I've got to be honest, it's really good. I mean, this is a huge positive. This is fantastic. The game I love is back. This squad list is as close as you're going to get to perfect as can possibly be, because it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to totally agree with every single player in this list. But considering the AFCON's next month, and this squad is pretty much going to be probably there or thereabouts what goes to AFCON, this is a really good squad. And I've got to give credit to Petkovic, of course, and the FAF for picking this list, because it's fantastic. The players that should not be here are not here. The players that should be here are here. You might as well take players now that you know are going to go to the Africa Cup of Nations, and one or two you want to test and try out. And you've got, of course, Benkara and Titraoui in for the first time as well. So listen, I think this is brilliant news. And of course, Belally's not here. I mean, we're not going to spend too much time talking about this. I've spent months and years saying Youssouf Bellali is finished. He is khalast. He is done. Finitoed. So I'm glad he's not here. It's long overdue. You cannot keep bringing Bellali again. There's only so many times you can go out of the group stage with him there before you realise you need to get rid of him. You know, leave the football before the football leaves you, Youssouf. Same with Youssouf Artal. I wouldn't be taking Artal to AFCON either, or Bellali. I don't think they're what we need right now. They've had their time to shine. Teams evolve. You've got to let new players come through, and that's what's happened. Unless you're a superstar like Mahrez, you've got to let the new players come in. So, no Bellali, no Artal. We always, on here, when the squads are out, we kind of talk about who's not in before we talk about who is in. Ben Talib's not in the squad. Does he want to look at some other central midfield players? Of course, Bennacer's come back in. How many times have I said Bennacer not only will return in November, he will start African Cup of Nations games. Bennacer has to start for this team. I don't care if he's got one leg, I don't care if he's got one knee. Him with one knee is better than Zarouki with two, and that's a fact. So Bennacer had to come back, he's in, and then a little bit later we're going to look at what's going to happen in the attack, because Guiri's out of AFCON, he would have been a starter. Obviously he's not in this squad. So Petkovic has got 2 games pretty much to work out who's going to be the third guy in the attack with Mahrez and Demora, because Guiri's out. So in goal, goalkeepers are relatively straightforward. Lucas Zidane is here again. I think it's time to play Lucas Zidane as many times as possible before tournament football. I think Zidane is going to be Algeria's number one. He's got to be Algeria's number one. The local keepers are not at the level. Mandrea's not at the level. We've had a couple of cups with Mandrea. He's not even a third keeper anymore for Algeria. It's crazy for all of it. Just says a lot about how bad he was. I think that Sweden game really finished Mandrea off. I was behind him for the 4th goal. I don't know how he let it in. So Zidane should be the keeper. But again, lots of talking points in the defence. So Ait-Nouri's back, which is really good news. Rayan Ait-Nouri, of course, will be a starter, no doubt, if fit for Algeria at the AFCON. So you've got usual suspects, Ben Sebaini and Mandy. 2 guys back in the fold. He clearly doesn't fancy Tuba, even though he's working with Rafa Benitez at Panathinaikos. Belida's come back in. Moderni's still out. Nair's still out. But what about this? 18 years of age. Elias Benkara is in. Spoke about it before. Said he was going to be called up for the first time. 18. I know he's not played for Dortmund's first team. He played in the UEFA Youth League the other day. But to pick Algeria at 18, you know, Benkara, Xiaka, Bouetnani, Mazza, these sorts of guys, you have to give them the utmost of respect, because they're not messing about. They're not opportunists. They're not waiting until they're 26, 27 and go, oh, you know, Germany's never going to call me. I'm going to come now. You've got to do it early. Look at Elise. If you got Elise when he was 17, 18, and look at him now, I bet you wish you did, because I tell you what, at 17, Elise was not in Palace, not even in the Premier League. Look at Bennacer. I remember when Bennacer came to Algeria through Raoul, ended up being an AFCON player of the tournament. Getting Bennacer when he's in the Arsenal Academy. You've got to get these guys when they're young. And you've got to get full respect to Benkara for coming now, because he could go on to be the next Mats Hummels, who knows, but he'd be more than good enough to play for Germany. It's like Ait-Nouri and Mahrez. It'd certainly be starting in the French team, but they're not in the French team. I think this is huge. To get Benkara at 18 in the Dortmund Academy, that is really, really good work by the FAF. And credit to Elias as well for coming now and clearly rewarded with a place not just in the local team or the under-20 team, rewarded with a place in the first team under Petkovic. No doubt they've got to give him his debut, probably against Zimbabwe. It's easier, the 2 games, ease him in. But Goodness me, what a pull. That is great news to get Benkara, so let's welcome him. Obviously, Yacine Titraoui, the midfielder, he's in the squad for the first time as well, so shout out to him. And the defenders that got brought in last month's camp are back as well. So, Belgali and Dorval and Samir Shergi. Shergi, for me, is going to very quickly become a fan favourite. He's that type of guy. I think he's a big personality in their dressing room, even when he's not starting. Shergi is huge. You'll see, of course, he can play centre-back, he can play right-back, and the likes of Atal and Van den Kerkhoff, Gitoon, whatever he's called this week, they're not in this list. So I've got to say, overall, it's looking good. It's looking really positive in this list. I think, in the AFCON, it will be Zidane, Ait-Nouri, Bensebaini, Mandi and Hadjem. I think Belgali is good going forward, but defensively there are some questions there. I think that's what you've got to be aiming to do. Remember with Belmadi winning the AFCON, you knew it was going to be Bensebaini, Mandi, Ben Lamry and Atal. You knew it, and Bolhi behind them. You've got to know your keeper and back four. We cannot be chopping and changing between playing Sudan and playing Burkina Faso and playing Equatorial Guinea. You've got to work on your main back four and you've got to stick to it. Obviously, you've got to give some of the guys that never get a chance in the second half of games, give them their debuts and stuff like that. Your Benkaras, your Belids, your Shergis, give them some game time. But we've got to work out what our best back four is for this AFCON. It's not far away at all. Midfield, I said Bennacer had to come back. Look, as long as Bennacer's fit, he's going to be in. And he's still our best central midfield player. The good thing about going to Zagreb is it's a good club playing in Europe, but the Croatian league does not have the intensity of a top 5 league in Europe, which is more intense, which is more strain on Bennacer's fitness and health. So it's really good that Bennacer can stay fit at a Croatian league level, which is competitive, but not one that's going to make him injured. So you've got Bennacer in there, Titraoui in there, Shaibi is going to be a big player, Badawi, Zorogan, I'm not the biggest fan. Like I said, you're never going to get the full list you want. I wouldn't have picked Zorogan. I wouldn't have picked Zaruki either, but he's in. Although Zaruki did get 3 assists in one game in the Netherlands the other day. So that's probably why he comes in. Awara's in, Shaibi's got to be in. Of course, Maz is in. But Ben Taleb misses out. That's an interesting one. Is it because he wants to look at some other players? No Ben Taleb. No Abdelli. Abdelli's the one as well. I think it's a bit of a fan favourite. I'd like to see Abdelli come back into the fold at some point. But it's going to be interesting. I think I would play Bennacer, Badawi, Shaibi as my 3. Maz is an amazing talent, don't get me wrong. But it might be an AFCON too early to start him. But certainly a really good player for the future. I think Bennacer makes Badawi better when he's with him. If you put Badawi without Bennacer, I don't think he's as good. So it'd be interesting what happens with that midfield. Obviously, Benzia, Benrahma, Belali, they're not in this list. They're not going to be involved in this squad. So plenty of opportunities to see some other players play. Now, the attack's about what's going to happen without Guiri. Assuming what's Petkovic going to do? There's not many choices here of who can play on the left side. Benrahma and Belali would be your 2 men candidates to play on the left, or Guiri, obviously, if he was fit. Is he going to shift Amora to that left wing? That's what it seems to be. I think Amora's going to play out on that left. And you see the front line options of Baghdad Bounedjah can play out there. And, of course, Monsef Bakrar, another one at Zagreb. He's had a very good season, Bakrar. He's come from New York back to Europe. I think it was the right thing to do. I know the World Cup's in the US, but you get what I mean. If he wants to play in the US, it can be the World Cup. He might go Bakrar with Amora and Mahrez either side. That might be the way he does it. He might play Baghdad down there. I think Xiaka and Buetnani are going to feel hard done by not being in this squad. But even when Xiaka and Buetnani were in the squad, Petkovic wasn't giving him any minutes. They just weren't even getting off the bench. There's players like Cabal and Hadj Moussa that don't get many minutes as it is. So obviously Mahrez is going to play on the right. We know Moura's going to occupy another attacking spot. Who's going to take the other one? Probably Baghdad or Bakray. It doesn't seem he's not going to play Cabal or Hadj Moussa on the left, I don't think. So yeah, so that's the list. I think it's a really good list. There's only 3 players over 30, isn't there? Mahrez, Mandi and Baghdad. The criticism's always been that the squad was quite old. It's a relatively younger squad. It's the youngest squad for a while. Of course, you've got Awar as well that can come into the fold. Many people think Awar should be a starter as well. But I've got to say, I like what I'm seeing here. But I hope that how much I like this squad is going to translate into how good the performance is on the pitch, which remains to be seen. So that's the list. Let me know your thoughts down below. Welcome to Benkara. Welcome to Titraoui. And let the games begin. See you next time.